Nothing angers Blue Jay fans quite like Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins speaking to the media. And there's no way that they keep on doing this. There's no way that they keep on saying these things and taking the fans for a ride. But hey, they did it yet again. And brace yourselves for another year of this front office. We'll break that down and much more in this episode of Jay's Digest. Welcome in, everybody, to Jay's Digest. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. And Nick, happened again. It happened again, and I'm not shocked because Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro think the fan base consists of 3-year-olds with a negative IQ. That's basically who they think they're talking to, and they treat the media as such as well. Like there were some questions being asked, some hard-hitting questions, and even some easy questions that could have given them the opportunity to get back in the good graces of the fans or even some of the players on the team. And again, they still managed to F it up like they usually do. And Ross Atkins, Mark Shapiro, they've already made some changes to the coaching staff. They've yet to make changes at the top amongst themselves. And I think that is where the deepest problem lies in the Blue Jays organization. But they keep making money and they keep turning a profit every single year. So maybe there's no urgency to make a change there. But again, it happened again, and Blue Jay fans are sick and tired of it, and nothing gets them quite as fired up as hearing these two talk.
Yeah, when I got announced a couple days ago that Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro were going to be speaking to the media. Peter Reese spoke about it off camera. This is exactly what we expected, and almost went a little bit worse than I expected. I thought he was going to have some, curveballs and easy things, hard things thrown to him, but he was also given some easy ones. We have a lot of comments to go over, and so just bear with us here. So a ton. So Mark Shapiro, and this video is going to be mainly covering Mark's comments. Ross has yet to speak, but Mark Shapiro met the media, and for the second straight October said, "We need to be better. Ross needs to be better." Asked how many times he's comfortable saying Ross needs to be better, he dodged by saying everybody needs to be better. So that's kind of how it started. Also, Ross Atkins is going to be returning. That is confirmed. Mark Shapiro said that Ross is going to be returning. And there's just tons of quotes to go over here. But basically, describe the 2024 season as a bitter disappointment. I'm confident that next year will be a much better year. And before we get into some of the other ridiculous comments, Peter, I just want to get your thoughts on these. So Ross is 100% back. Obviously, Mark is back. A bitter disappointment. The exact same comments he made last year, saying they're going to be much better next year, and then they went out this year and had the worst year in recent memory. So I have no faith anymore, and I'm a little bit tired of it. But
Yeah, well, we knew that pretty much. Like we were holding out hope that Ross Atkins would be gone and Mark Shapiro would be the next one to go. But look, again, like I'm not a big fan of a lot of these journalists that ask these questions because I don't think that they follow the team quite as closely as some of us fans do. But there was a question posed not long ago. I believe it was Steve Simmons, or he said Mark Shapiro's great if you want to redo your basement and if you're looking for tips on how to do that and a guide on that front. But he's not great when you're trying to build a winning baseball team. And that made me laugh because it's true. He did a great job with the renovations. I went to the Rogers Center this year, as did you, Nick, and it's pretty damn nice.
yeah, yeah,
It's
it's
pretty
nice.
nice. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, the product on the field might not be great, but it feels like a ballpark, and there's a lot of stuff to do over there. So if you don't want to watch the game, you can go all the way up to the Corona Rooftop Lounge, and you can go all the way to Park Social on the other side of the ballpark. You can do whatever you want to do at the Rogers Center. It feels like a playground. But as far as the baseball team goes, thank God for those amenities in the park because I don't think anybody was interested in what they were trying to sell in terms of the on-field product this year. It was a disgrace. All the expectations coming into the year, it was totally despicable. And then you see a team like the Detroit Tigers getting into the playoffs, and they won yesterday against the Houston Astros. We keep bringing up this team as an example, but they sold at the deadline, as did the Blue Jays, and they had the same percentage of a probability of making it into the playoffs. But they made it, and now the Blue Jays sit at 74 wins or whatever their end of year total was, and they're nowhere to be found come playoff time. So it was a colossal disappointment, and your expectations were a lot higher than some teams that did make the postseason. So it's unacceptable, and they just keep running it back with the same group of front office, with the same group of coaching staff. Like it's at what point does it just get redundant and it feels like nothing is going to change? It feels like nothing is going to change, even if they say otherwise here.
Yeah, and there's a lot more comments to go over, and this one in particular had fans fired up. So he was asked a bit of an easy one whether Vladdy is a generational player, and Mark Shapiro said, he basically asked, "Hey Mark, is Vlad a generational player?" He said, "Vlad is a great offensive talent. I don't know generational player. He certainly has the opportunity to be a generational player." Now, Peter, this one's a bit interesting. So he was basically given an easy one here, asking if he's a generational player. And he said he doesn't know about a generational player, but he certainly has the opportunity to be one. Now, there was some clarity on this. Joshua was listening to the actual, I guess, interview, whatever it was, and he said not blaming Ben here at all because it was the initial answer. But Shapiro went on to say that basically he considers a generational player, larger body of work, Hall of Fame level. To me, just say he's a generational player, whether you believe it or not. It'll help with whether it helps with contract negotiations. It'll help save face a little bit in what was a disastrous interview here. But do you have any thoughts on this quote? He generational player. He doesn't know.
Yeah, this is what we call a layup. This is an easy one right here. Even if he's not a generational player, I don't think he is a generational player. He's a very good hitter, but there are other talents in the game today, like Otani and Judge, and maybe Juan Soto that I would consider generational. Like those players are the cream of the crop, and Vladdy is just a tier below them. Like it's not a bad thing to be a tier below them. But if you're a general manager, if you're a president of baseball operations and you have a star player on your hands, the best player on your team, yeah, prop him up a little bit. Give him a little bit of confidence. Give the fan base something to rally behind. Instead, what do? You're trying to save yourself $20 million dollars in the next contract negotiation. What this does to Vladdy, I think this pisses him off even more. Like, you haven't signed me to a contract. I've had a MVP runner-up season. I was great this year. What more do I need to do to prove to you that I belong and I am the face of this franchise? I don't think Vladdy has to prove anything more. Whether the $300 million contract ages well, that remains to be seen. But man, yeah, talk about just fumbling an easy question here. And you don't do yourself any favors by deflecting like this. I don't know, generational player, like just say yes, lie. It's good to lie sometimes. It helps. But Mark Shapiro, clearly it's not. I mean, they lie all the time to the fans. Why couldn't he just lie to the media here this one time? He lies to us every damn time he speaks to the media.
Yeah, and
Oh, it's frustrating.
you can
So
see it here.
frustrating.
Much better year next year. That's what he said last year. Definitely didn't do that. And Shapiro went on to say that one of the biggest overarching challenges, the possibility of losing Vlad and Bo next year for comp picks. We'll continue to try to address that as we're building next year's team, and decline to comment on the status and if it will change. And the payroll is not set, but we'll see what happens with it. So again, Mark Shapiro will stay in his role. I felt there was a better alternative to run an operation. I'd make that change. So clearly he doesn't feel there's a better operation for it. They don't know if they're going to bring back Vladdy. It's a bit of a not a quite a disaster yet, but the year was definitely a disaster, and these comments definitely didn't help. Any final thoughts before we wrap up here? Just a sad day, especially when every other team is playing. Well,
Yeah.
most of the other teams are playing playoff baseball.
Yeah, playoff baseball was electric yesterday, and there's nothing like waking up to Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro just absolutely ruining that high that you're coming off of from the previous day. I think he's the one calling the shots at the end of the day. Like we blame Ross Atkins, and I'm sure Ross Atkins has some part to play, but he's the president of baseball operations, and he is the one that is making a lot of these decisions. So of course he's not going to fire himself because he is the one that is running the baseball operation per se. So he's not going to fire himself unless Edward Rogers and just the Rogers team comes out and fires him outright. So yeah, that's why nothing is changing. He has a yes man by his side in Ross Atkins. Those two have been working together for a very long time now and have yet to achieve anything in Cleveland or in Toronto. So I don't know. I don't really know why they ended up hiring them, but I guess we're stuck with another year of these two, and hopefully it's the last if it's another year of underachieving.
Yeah, let us know what your thoughts are on all these comments. Not exactly what you wanted to hear, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Vladdy. But that'll wrap it up. Let us know what your thoughts are. See you later.